Janice Dacres-Jones, and she is a business coach. Today she's here to talk to us in small business matters. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Nice and sunny, but outside it's a little overcast, but and rainy. But I'm good.
Wonderful, wonderful. It was cold here this morning, so I kind of envy your nice and sunny a bit, but it's getting nice and sunny right now, so that's good. I know you're ready to talk to us this morning. What are you going to talk to us about?
Okay, so today, last week, just to do a quick recap, last week we spoke about, our focus and that as entrepreneurs, as Christian entrepreneurs, we're called to make an impact. We're called to serve other people. Um, and so after you feel like you have this calling, the next thing you want to do is you want to make a plan. You know, in Habakkuk 2, it says, then the Lord answered, Habakkuk 2:2 says, then the Lord answered and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tablets that he may run that readeth it. Now, it's like really, really important. So God is not expecting us to just get up and go run. There's another verse that says, would a man do something unless he comes to pass? So that's why planning is so important. Now, most people would know of a business plan, and that business plan is, 30, 40 pages of what you think or how you think this business should do and all of that. But the truth is that a business plan is nothing but pages upon pages of a hypothesis, a guess at best. You're guessing that based on this information, the customers will want this product at this price and that they will spend their money and that it will work in this market in exactly the way that you think it will. But the truth is that most products or services never survive first contact with customers. There's always something that needs to be tweaked, something that needs to change to fit how the customer would prefer it. Very often, founders or people who start businesses come up with this idea and it's based on their preferences, how they see the problem being fulfilled. But very often they are not the customer, right? And so when you do this, you find that a lot of persons, there's a statistic, right, that says that 90% of businesses fail within the first 3 years. And I'm always a proponent of doing your homework. Do your homework, one, but also build a strong foundation. Just like the builder who is going to build, he's going to dig out and set a firm foundation before that building comes up out of the ground. So the work that you do before you actually start that business is critically important because it sets the cornerstones for how your business will run. Now, I don't subscribe to a business plan as we know it. I actually use the lean startup methodology. And the whole idea is that if you can start up as lean as possible, meaning with spending as little money as possible, as little time as possible, to figure out what the market wants and how you can produce it in a way that everybody benefits, right? Now, the typical entrepreneur goes to a learning curve, a very steep learning curve. If you don't do your homework, that learning curve is going to be super steep because there are so many things that you thought that this is how it would work, that it doesn't. And very often it costs you a lot of time and a lot of money. I've met so many entrepreneurs who said, boy, you know, I've had to go into my savings because this business hasn't done what I thought it would have done in the short term, or persons who have put together a traditional business plan and think that they're going to start making tons of money on day one. That's just not how it works. So the lean startup uses what we call, one of the tools that it uses is called a business model canvas. And it looks at 9 areas, and we're going to talk about them today. It looks at 9 areas that you want to. So here's what you're going to do. We're going to conduct experiments, right? So rather than create this big document that's filled with guesses which are not validated, nobody can say, yes, they're for sure true, or we have seen it to be true. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to take this document, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to conduct experiments to say, are these things that I think true? Is there a market for this thing? What price will they accept it at? Who will be my suppliers? All of these different things. So the 9 areas are your customer segments, your value proposition, what channels are you going to use to sell, customer relationships, your revenue stream, your key activities, your key resources, your key partnerships, and your cost structure. Now let's just go over each one of them individually. So your customer segment is like super important, right? Who are your customers? Where can you find them? What do they think? What are their problems? What problems are they experiencing? This product that you've created, or this service that you're creating, what problem does it solve for your potential customers? Are they young people between, say, 15 to 20, or persons 25 to 55? Who are these people? Are they professionals? Are they moms? Are they family people? Or are they single family homes? Your product, who are the people who have this problem? Now, I've spoken to many entrepreneurs who have told me, when I ask them, who is your customer? And they say, everybody. Everybody cannot be your customer. And here's why that approach doesn't work. If you have $10 to market your company, right? And you spend that $10 marketing to everybody, that $10 is going to just disappear and you don't see the effect of it. But if you're very specific about who your target audience is, what you will do is that you do a very targeted, and it may be, so therefore you have a market, you look at the market and you say, well, there are 3 million people in Jamaica, for argument's sake, but my audience is moms, who are working moms, who need childcare services. So out of that, it narrows it down. And you want to narrow it a little bit more. So you say, well, if they need childcare services, then chances are they don't have a helper at home. They don't have, and so you start to get a picture in your head of who this person is. And then what you want to do now is that now that you've written down who you think these people are, you got to go find them. And you say, do you have this problem? How are you currently solving this problem? How much are you paying now to solve this problem? And so you're doing the homework, because if you just go out there on a hunch, you're gonna figure it out, but it's gonna take you much longer to figure it out. And by the time you figure it out, chances are you run out of money, and you don't want to do that, right? So the next one, which is linked to the first one, is their value proposition. It's like what it goes back. What problem are you solving? What product or service are you proposing that's going to solve this problem? What is different about it from what exists in the market? Does it exist in the market? There are all these questions you need to ask yourself. How are people solving these problems now? How much are they paying to solve these problems? And so you want to ensure that your value proposition is, you almost want it to be your differentiator. What's going to differentiate you from everybody else out there? So one of the things you want to do, you want to look and say, well, who else is providing these services? how are they providing the services? How much is it costing to provide the service? And you want to look and say, boy, I wonder if they're making money. You want to dig deep into how can I do this business and differentiate myself so that I increase my chances of success, right? The next thing you want to know is your channels. How are these? How will we promote, sell, and deliver these services, right? Will we go to what you call it, a social media campaign? Will I do ads in the paper? How will I sell it? How will people pay me? How will all of these different things? How will I get to people? And what's important about this that links back to your customer segments is the more you know about your customer segment, the more you know how to promote to them, because you want to know what are they reading, what are they watching, where do they go, how can I capture their attention? And so that then forms a part of your strategy. The next thing is, okay, customer relationships. Are these one-off customer relationships, or are these relationships that are recurring? So is it something that customers buy one time and they don't buy again? Or is it something where I now have to cultivate a relationship with the customer, this whole thing of to the point of knowing the customer's preferences and all of these different things. You want to then, because then that informs what kind of systems you put in place to ensure that you nurture these customer relationships, right? The other thing is revenue streams. How will I earn money from this business? And you notice I said revenue streams. It's very important, right, to not just have one stream of revenue. It's very important to have more than one. And so basically what you're doing is that you're spreading your risk. If one revenue stream dries up, you have others to fall back on so that your business doesn't die. And so you protect yourself. So all of these things you want to be thinking through before you spend, right? To do anything. I've met customers who didn't have that conversation, didn't have that thinking through process, but they were well into spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And by the time I was going through all of this with them, they were so distressed because they saw how much they missed not going through those things, right? The next thing is your key activities. What strategic things do you deliver? How do you deliver your service? So, for example, let's go back to this daycare or childcare services. What are the key activities that are involved in that? And so you know that's going to inform what resources you need to support that. So the question is, I want them to take their kids to me, or I have a team of people who will go into homes and deliver childcare. What are these strategic things? What are these things that are going to differentiate you, right, in how you deliver the service? And so, but this also has implications for how you run your business on a day-to-day basis. And you say, well, the customer comes, drops off the children, what happens next? And what happens next? All of these things will determine how you structure your business. And it's important. This is the point that a lot of people miss with these key activities. This is where you need to really start documenting your processes and procedures. Because here is where you want whoever comes into your business, they deliver the service the same way all the time. You know that there's some small businesses where people after a while, they don't want to talk to anybody else but the manager or the owner. You don't want that, because what it means is that you're tied to this business and you can't leave. You want to, at this point, when you start thinking about key activities, is start to document, okay, when a customer comes, what happens? How do I collect from them? Do I have all the necessary things to collect? What do I give them back? all of these different things. You go through and you document your processes, you document how things are done around here. And the next one, number 7, is key resources. What strategic assets must the business have, to compete? So the question you're going to ask is, do I need a building? Do I not build? Can I just do it from my computer at home? How do I deliver? What do I need? What resources do I need to deliver this service, right? So that I can now think through. This is now going to determine what you will need to your startup costs. So, do I need to buy equipment? Do I need to lease a space? How much is that gonna cost? All of those things you want to think through. And the beautiful thing about this process here that I'm discussing, you can literally just do a 1 page and just jot things in as you think. And then you go out and you test them, right? So the next one, number 8, is key partnerships, right? So then you want to think about, all right, there are different parts to a business, right? So there's probably finance, there's probably marketing, there's accounting, there's operations. Do I have the skills necessary to do all of them? One of the things that a lot of small businesses do is that they try to think that, I will save money by doing everything myself. But you're not really great at all the things. So, for example, you may have an engineer who's really great at being an engineer, but they're not an accountant. And so what will happen is that they will always naturally gravitate towards the engineering things. And the accounting thing, like literally you have to force yourself now to deal with it. You literally have to force yourself. And so that's why a lot of entrepreneurs end up with tons and tons of papers, or receipts and all of these things that are not in any format that can be used, that can give them information. So it's important to recognize those areas that you don't have the skill necessary or the inclination. You may have the skill but not the inclination. And you just say, well, you know what, I'm going to outsource this. And the beautiful thing about things like that nowadays, there's so many different providers, whether online, small people trying to do their thing. And here's how we in the kingdom of God help each other. Because you may have a sister who is an accounting clerk who you can call in and say, well, can you just do this for me? It's the same thing with marketing. Marketing is one of the most underappreciated professions, right? Where people think that, oh, everybody can do that. I can just put up a little flyer. And, so I remember talking to an entrepreneur once, and he said to me, well, I did a flyer and it didn't work. And I said to him, well, how long did you have the flyer out there? I did it once and it didn't work. And I'm like, do you know that people need to see something a minimum of 8 to 10 times before they actually take action? Unless, of course, it's a burning problem for them. And so I said, that's why you need professionals, people who can help you. I read a thread the other day, and there was a lady who said she started a company, I think in 2020, and they've gotten to like $5 million in revenue. And only because she said she identified some marketing things, like, I'm no good at these things, and she outsourced them. And she attributed that action to the single one of the things that made her get to where she needed to where she was, because she didn't have to go figure it out, because very often we have to go figure it out to do it. Go with somebody who knows what they're doing and who can get you there faster, so that you can focus on the thing that you're really great at, right? The last thing is cost structure. Now, this is like super important. What are the major cost drivers of your business, right? And how are they linked to revenue? So one great example right now is, I would say, is fuel a cost driver in your business? Do you need fuel? Where you have across the world, you have businesses, you have fuel costs going high. I saw something the other day where somebody was saying that because of the fuel costs and the energy costs, so many businesses are looking at shutting down because their business it has risen exponentially, and their revenues cannot keep up with the rising costs. So the business model canvas, if you go online and you research, it can give you, it has a little template with all the 9 areas. Just jot in, and everything that you think or you guess, go out and test it. Go out and look, and when you're going out to test, don't just go out and say, if I have this marker, will you buy it? No. You have to go back to what the problem is, and so ask the customer. And don't just go ask your family and friends. Your family and friends are going to tell you nice things because they want to support you. You want people who are going to tell you the truth. The people who are willing to go into their pockets and spend with you. Those are the people you need to hear from. And when they talk to you, listen to them, listen to their language. Ask them if you can record the interview, because that language is just going to help you to market the product so that you can now create some sort of link with this customer, because now they're describing the problem, how they experience it, and they're also describing the solution that they want to have. So customer interviews are critical to this process. And so when you go through this process, then it should give you a clear pathway that tells you, okay, this works, this doesn't work. This works, this doesn't work. And so when you start with a very good idea of what will work and what won't. And lastly, I will say to you, keep an open mind. As I said, very, very few new products and services survive first contact with customers. What you're going to want to do is, even after you've done this process and you're starting your business, is keep on iterating, keep on asking customers, keep on tweaking. Nothing is set in stone. You keep on tweaking, because the better you get at it is the more customers you will have, right? So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook, JANICE DACRES-JONES, or Biz Head Start. Either way, I'd be happy to answer them. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you so much, Janice. Before you go, I want you to repeat those 9 points that make up the business canvas models.
Right. So it's your customer segment, your value propositions, the channels that you're going to promote it on, what kind of relationships, customer relationships will you have, how will your business earn money, what are the revenue streams, what are the key activities that you need to do to deliver this product or service. Number 7, what are the key resources you will need to compete and do it well. What are the key partnerships? Who are the key people that you need to do business with? And it's not only your partnerships, also refer to your suppliers, right? And the 9th one is your cost structure. Always be very, very clear about what are the major cost drivers, and if they get out of whack, will it ruin your business completely? There you have it, the 9 areas that you need to pay attention to.
Thank you so much, Janice. I realize that this model is very new to business, because back in my days in corporate, we took it from another approach. But it also reminds me of one of the first things I learned in marketing, and it's that if you build a better mousetrap, the world won't come knocking or beating at your door. It means that you have to take your product to them. And to do so, you have to consider all that requires to bring the product to market. Nowadays, we're not just seeing our product going to market, but what we're seeing is not just people meeting demand, but they're creating demand. And that's what I heard you spoke about in one of the segments. I am having an issue right now with my iPhone, and I realize I need to change my phone. But the thing about that company is that they bring you the products even before you think you need it. So there's always a long line for the next iPhone, you know?
And that whole action is a result of them keeping very close tabs on customers and what customer needs are, what customer wants are. And as you say, they're thinking ahead for us.
Right. And it's the same thing that we are here doing in Canada with Higher Ground Gospel Radio, because we are the first Afro-Caribbean, I'm very careful in how I state it, Afro-Caribbean gospel station in this area. There is a need, but persons didn't recognize that they needed this. And so here we are meeting a demand even before there is a demand. And it's, you know what happens when you're an innovator in an area. So I want to thank you, Janice, for bringing those points to us, for talking to us this morning on writing the vision and stating so clearly what is required in a business plan, and for teaching us about the business model canvas. Thank you so much. We will see you again next week.
Okay, have a great one.
I want to thank you for joining us on Small Business Matters. We will be back next week. Remember that if you are enjoying this broadcast, if you're learning anything, if you're being blessed by the program, please go ahead and share. If you want to watch it again, we're on Facebook, HGG Radio, HGG Radio Facebook page. You can go on and look. There's also Hope of Glory with Roshane Douglas on YouTube. You can go to that page and watch it again. Janice, again, I want to thank you for coming. God bless you.
God bless you.